She was a loving and law-abiding family woman, her father a former FBI agent. Now, both are facing decades in prison over the murder of her husband, a killing they say was in self-defense.
Well, let's just start with the very first thing you told me. You said your dad died. How did your dad die?
Well, my sister had a nightmare about insects crawling. She had fairy blankets and insects all over her bed. My dad got very mad and he was screaming at my mom and mom got out to scream. And my grandpa came up and started to hit him with a bat.
Davidson County 911, want to see there's an emergency? Daughter's husband, my son-in-law, got in a fight with my daughter. I intervened, and I hit him in the head. With what? With a baseball bat. With a baseball bat. Yes, ma'am.
Jason Corbett was 39 years old when he was killed inside his own home in North Carolina. He was a widowed father of two, living in the United States after leaving Ireland for what he believed would be a stable new beginning. In the early hours of August 2, 2015, emergency services received a call reporting a violent domestic incident.
Davidson County 911, want to see there's an emergency? My name is Tom Martin. I'm at Panther Creek Court, and we need help. Okay, what's going on there? My daughter's husband, my son-in-law, got in a fight with my daughter. I intervened, and I hit him in the head. With what? With a baseball bat. With a baseball bat. Yes, ma'am. Is he conscious at all? No. Is he breathing? I can't tell.
By the time first responders arrived, Jason Corbett was already dead. He had suffered multiple blunt force injuries to the head. The weapons used were later identified as a baseball bat and a concrete paving stone. The people who admitted to striking him were his wife, Molly Martins, and her father, Thomas Martins, a former FBI agent. They claimed it was self-defense.
I go into the house and I look inside the master bedroom, and it's pretty horrific. It's one of the bloodiest crime scenes I've seen in a long time.
Prosecutors would argue something very different. What followed was not just a murder investigation, but a case that exposed conflicting accounts of marriage, control, and violence inside a family that, until that night, had shown no public signs of collapse. Jason Corbett was born and raised in Ireland. He lived a structured life shaped by routine, responsibility, and close family ties. As a young adult, he married Margaret Mags Fitzpatrick. They had 2 children, Jack and Sarah, and maintained a stable household centered on work, school, and family routines.
We were just out socializing one night and I introduced Mags to Jason. And from the start, they were just meant for each other. They were very, very happy.
In November 2006, Mags Corbett died suddenly from a severe asthma attack at the age of 31. Jason was left a widower and the sole caregiver of 2 young children. Following her death, Jason focused on maintaining stability for his children.
Jason, in that moment, was just broken into pieces. He would write letters to Mags and leave them at the gravesite.
His life became centered on work, school schedules, and childcare management. He employed au pairs to assist with daily responsibilities and was selective about who entered the household. Jason worked as a business development manager, a role that required long hours and travel. Despite this, he maintained consistent routines for his children. After his wife's death, he avoided disruption and prioritized control and predictability in his home. During this period, Molly Martins, an American au pair, joined the household. Her role was limited to childcare and household assistance.
So I joined an au pair agency, and when Jason reached out to me, he indicated on his profile that he had lost his wife. I guess that just pulled on my heartstrings. There were these 2 babies without a mother, and maybe I had an ache to fill that need.
Over time, her involvement increased, and the relationship moved beyond professional boundaries. There were no reports of domestic violence, police involvement, or behavioral concerns in Jason's life in Ireland. He was regarded as a responsible professional and a committed parent.
And it was in the very early days that Sarah started calling me mom. I was really becoming a mother to those kids before I became a mother to those kids.
By 2010, Jason and Molly's relationship had become personal. The domestic structure Jason had rebuilt appeared stable. This period establishes the baseline of the case. By 2011, Jason decided to relocate with his children to the United States. The move placed the family near Molly's parents in North Carolina, who could provide support. After the move, Molly assumed the role of stepmother. By 2015, the family lived in Davidson County, North Carolina. Neighbors reported no disturbances or visible signs of conflict. Neighbors later reported hearing nothing unusual, no arguments, no signs of distress. From the outside, the home appeared calm and orderly. Inside, however, events were about to take a tragic turn. According to statements provided to law enforcement, a confrontation occurred between Jason Corbett and Molly Martins in the master bedroom. The exact cause of the dispute remains a matter of conflicting testimony, but multiple accounts indicate that the disagreement escalated quickly. Jason was reportedly confronted by Molly and Thomas Martins. Both admitted to striking him, claiming that their actions were in self-defense. They stated that Jason had been aggressive and threatening, leaving them with no choice but to respond physically to protect themselves.
Alright, tell me what happened tonight.
We're fighting.
And who was fighting?
My husband. My daughter had a nightmare. She or I was involved, so he's angry. He choked me.
How did he choke you?
First with his hand, just pressed really hard right here. He let go for a second, and I screamed really loud. I can't remember next until my dad came in.
Okay.
I heard arguing and thumping going on the floor above me. And it sounded bad. And I grabbed the bat and I ran upstairs. So I opened the bedroom door. And he's got Molly by the throat, like this. And he sees me coming in. And he goes around her throat, like this. And I said, let her go. I'm gonna kill her. Let her go, I'm gonna kill her. And he started to drag her toward the bed, into the bathroom. And I hit him. I hit him with the baseball bat. And he reaches out and he grabs the bat.
By the time the 911 call was made, the situation had already become lethal. Emergency dispatchers recorded the call, noting the urgency and distress in the voices on the line. Responding officers arrived within minutes to find Jason unresponsive, lying on the bedroom floor. He had suffered severe blunt force trauma to the head, and resuscitation efforts by paramedics were unsuccessful. Jason was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators immediately began documenting the physical evidence. The bedroom contained the instruments used in the assault: a baseball bat and a concrete paving stone.
Jason has abrasions on his forehead, under his eye, his shoulder blades, and then we get to his head. He had so many blows to his head that the pathologist couldn't count them because they overlapped, and a chunk of Jason's skull fell out onto the table.
Medical examiners later confirmed that the injuries sustained were consistent with multiple, forceful strikes to the head. The pattern of injury indicated repeated blows rather than a single defensive action. Both Molly Martins and Thomas Martins were present and cooperative with law enforcement. They confirmed that they had been the individuals who struck Jason, reiterating their claim that it was necessary for self-protection. Law enforcement officers recorded their statements, while simultaneously documenting the scene, taking photographs, and collecting the weapons as evidence. The children were present in the home during the incident, though in another part of the house. They were reportedly unharmed physically, but the event would have a profound impact on their psychological and emotional well-being. Law enforcement and social services later conducted interviews to ensure their safety and to document the circumstances of the household at the time of the killing. Investigators noted the absence of prior formal reports of domestic violence in the home. This absence raised questions about whether the altercation was a sudden escalation or the culmination of long-standing tensions. Physical evidence, including blood patterns, injury analysis, and the placement of the weapons, became critical to reconstructing the events leading to Jason's death. While the immediate narrative from Molly and Thomas was one of self-defense, forensic evidence and witness statements introduced complexity. The number and severity of the injuries, coupled with the timing and positioning of the victims and assailants, required detailed analysis. This analysis would become central to both the prosecution and defense strategies during the trial. The involvement of Thomas Martins, a retired FBI agent, added a layer of scrutiny to the case. The weapons used were central to understanding the event. Investigators recovered a baseball bat and a concrete paving stone from the scene. The baseball bat showed blood and hair consistent with Jason's DNA, while the paving stone had blood stains and impact marks. Forensic analysis suggested that both items had been used in succession, and that the force applied was substantial. Blood pattern analysis provided additional insight. Investigators reconstructed the sequence of strikes based on the location of blood spatters. The case focuses on the death of Jason Corbett and the central legal question of whether Molly Martins and her father, Thomas Martins, acted in legitimate self-defense or used excessive and unlawful force.
That's a question that we probably will never be able to answer, but it's setting off flags for me as to what really happened here. Reviewing Tom's interview about where this fight happened and how it happened, it didn't make any sense.
From the early stages of the investigation, authorities noted inconsistencies between the defendants' accounts and the physical evidence collected at the scene. Although no one directly witnessed the assault, statements about arguments.
Tom never admits that he saw Molly hit Jason at all.
After weeks of testimony from forensic experts, law enforcement officers, family members, and other witnesses, the jury concluded that the force used was not justified under self-defense laws. Both Molly Martins and Thomas Martins were found guilty of manslaughter. At sentencing, the court imposed prison terms of 12 to 15 years for Thomas Martins and 12 to 14 years for Molly Martins, taking into account the severity of the injuries and the circumstances of the case, particularly for Jason Corbett's children and extended family, whose lives were permanently altered by the events and the verdict.